Hi everybody, I've got to admit that sometimes as a YouTube content creator you feel pretty lucky and pretty kind of special in the fact that you get to experience things that ordinary gamers do get to experience, but you kind of have to pay for things. And this gives you the opportunity to try things out that normally you wouldn't have had a chance to try out. And I've been very lucky recently in the fact that Hori have been very kind and they sent me one of their Windows PC flight control system and mount for Windows 10 and 11, which is kind of its long name, but basically it's their PC HOTAS system that is a throttle and stick and also a mount system that you can use on your desk to put that throttle and put that stick where you would want to for different aircraft configurations or different desk configurations as well. Now, you may well have seen some of my kind of flight sim videos. I've done quite a few on Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've done a few on Battle of Stalingrad and a few on Cliffs of Dover, the IL-2 games. And it's something that I wish I'd made more content, and I definitely will make more content about these sorts of games. It's just, there's so much going on with like DayZ and Arma Reforger and PUBG that I don't always get the time to invest to really explore these games and share what I find with other people. But Hori, nonetheless, had obviously seen my channel and said, right, okay, let's send this guy one of our systems so he can check it out and give it a go. And I've been really impressed. Now, what I would say is that I think if you're going to invest in something like the Hori HOTAS, is that you should probably be someone who really likes flight simulators. And by flight simulators, I really mean that. I mean things like Flight Simulator by Microsoft, and also things like the IL-2 Stalingrad games. These are flight simulators where having a HOTAS makes an incredible difference to the immersion that you feel. Kind of the footage that you're seeing on this video is sort of close-ups and videos of the HOTAS system, so you can see, all the buttons and switches and all the myriad of different things it does. I think it has 63 different switches, but you've also then got 3 different modes. And it's got several different axes and multiple switches that you can do. I don't think there's many systems out there that would have many more switches and systems and axes that this would have. And what this gives you, and what you're seeing as well, is me flying around in World War II aeroplanes in Cliffs of Dover. Because I've got to say, although that this Cliffs of Dover IL-2 is quite an old game, what I really enjoy about it is the fact that you've got access to all of these World War II planes, and you can just jump into them and fly them around. And you've got everything from Stukas to Spitfires to German bombers, and it really is an awful lot of fun. And that's what I find myself doing most of the time, using this. And that is just getting in a Spitfire, getting in a 111, getting in a Stuka, and doing some of the missions, but really just flying around like a flight simulator, and enjoying the sounds and the sights and the experience of flying these older aeroplanes. I'm really into my World War II history and history in general, and the ability to I pause to say touch history with video games, but there's definitely something special. For example, when you're playing IL-2 Battle of Stalingrad and you're up above the River Volga quite high, in ME-109, and you're looking down on the Volga and the burning city of Stalingrad. There is something there. There is a tiny percentage of a shared experience that maybe someone would have had during the Second World War that you're getting a tiny peek of. And HOTAS systems such as the Hori one kind of help with that immersion, because basically what you're doing, and this is the difficult bit, this is the butt bit of the video, with the Hori HOTAS and with all sorts of other HOTAS systems, is you have to spend a lot of time setting it up with a particular game. Now, the Hori system is really has been made to work very well with War Thunder, and so when you go into War Thunder you'll find there's a preset for it. However, with all the other games, as it's a common thing, there isn't, and so you need to spend the time setting up what all of the functions do, because you obviously have the obvious ones like the roll, pitch and yaw that are being done on the stick, and then you've got your rudders on your throttles. But then you've got to decide, okay, so what's going to be landing carriage, what's going to be brakes on and off, what's going to be flaps up and down, what's going to be moving my camera around, what's going to be my main guns, what's going to be secondary guns, what's going to be bomb sites, what's going to be bomb bays, all this sort of thing. So you do spend a lot of time doing that, and when you're new, it is a bit of a pain. I'm not going to lie, because you've got, say, 70 different possible things that you can set up, and often you're not really sure what control should go with which, so you end up swapping things around a lot, especially when it comes to things like your camera view. So what axis, and when I talk about axis, obviously you have your stick that you wobble around, and then you have these other axes that basically are like D-pads on your gamepad. So they're directional. But you also have on something like the Hori, you also have on the throttle, you have another basically joypad as well that you can use for looking around. So depending on how you like your system set up, you'll set up the key bindings in a different way. But when you're new, you don't really know how you like it set up because you haven't got into that first. But once you do, and you get the basic controls in of kind of brakes off and on, flaps up, throttle, obviously nice and easy, being able to look around, and then you get your aeroplane up into the air, then you tend to be going along, and you go along and think, okay, how do I do this? Right, pause the game, and then what I do is I have a scrap of paper which I write things down to. Right, okay, so I'll go into the settings and I'll change it. If I can't set it there, I'll just write it down. So okay, so now, for example, something like trim is now on this button or on this axis, and I can work that way. And to start off with, I remember when I first got my other HOTAS system, my Thrustmaster one, the simple one that I got second hand for about £15, I really questioned whether a HOTAS system is that much better than a gamepad, because modern gamepads with the Xbox and PlayStation have got a myriad number of functions. They have really high quality thumbsticks, and you've got things like the D-pad, you've got the triggers, you've got the bumpers, you've got all the buttons, you've got different functions you could use. You could use tap and hold, you can use double tap, all this sort of thing. So you can bind lots of functions from a gamepad, but the physical switches, the sheer number of physical switches and knobs and dials and axes that you get on like the Hori really does change the game, because you're sitting there in the cockpit of the aircraft and it's like, okay, so chocks away, so that's like one button. Then it's like, okay, brakes off, another button. Okay, throttle up, and you move your throttle up. And then you have things like, okay, flaps up, right, flaps up, right, okay, and then we're going down the runway. You pull back in the stick. Okay, so landing gear up, flaps to neutral, and you're away. And it seems a little bit odd, but the physical clicking of buttons and pressing things, different to a keyboard, is what increases that immersion and what has impressed me so much. Now, whether you're going to spend the money that you need to get something like the Hori HOTAS flight control system is another matter, and for me it depends on how much you're going to use it. Are flight simulators your main thing when it comes to playing video games? If they are, then I've got to say effecting in something like this is a no-brainer, really, because it's going to increase your immersion and it's going to increase your enjoyment, and because it has things like Hall effect sensors on the joystick part, it's going to last a long time. The build quality is pretty good, but it seems fine to me, and you're going to be using this for many years to come, as undoubtedly I will be as well. If flight simulators are, you only play them once in a blue moon, then maybe not. But for me, the step up from my Thrustmaster, which has got a tenth of the different controls this has, and has probably a quarter of the accuracy on the stick and the feel of the stick, it's been mind-blowing, really. It's been really, really good fun, and I'm looking forward to bringing more videos about using this with things like Armour and the different IL-2 games. We're going to be getting an IL-2 Jets game, aren't we, fairly soon, probably either this year or next year. Should be good as well, maybe an Armour Forger as well. So to kind of sum things up, for me, I have really enjoyed my time with the Hori HOTAS flight control system for PC, and I look forward to using it for the next few years. I think it feels great, it looks great, it's very, very immersive, and what more could you want from this sort of thing? Anyway, that's enough from me. What do you think, though? Put your questions and comments down below, and of course, I'll see you again soon.